I see. Live just came on.
Okay. Now, at least we're live and we're on the air right now. And what I'd like to do is welcome everybody. It's kind of been a hectic day here in Montana and I think California too. But anyway, it's a live cancer show, and we have Barbara Musser with us today from Sexy After Cancer. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So anyway, for everybody, it's been a rough road. We've been trying for 6 weeks to get this thing going, and we keep having trouble, and we're finally on air tonight with a lot of makeshift stuff, and I welcome you here. And Barbara, thanks.
I'm so happy to finally be here, Roy, and I'm just sorry we're having these technical glitches now.
Yeah. You know, my weekend started, I went down to Texas to visit my parents, and I was supposed to be back yesterday, and we had to fly through Denver, and the airport was closed down. I didn't get back till like 4 this afternoon, so it's been a rush catch-up day. But that's how things go, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Barbara, tell me about your program. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What's going on?
Okay. Well, I started Sexy After Cancer because my own experience with cancer had a big impact on my intimate and sexual life, and there weren't any good resources for it. And I've supported lots of people through different kinds of cancer, and many of the cancer treatments really wreck your libido and your function because they're designed to suppress hormone production for both men and women. And so on top of everything else that comes along with cancer, having a deep impact on your sex life is an unwelcome and uninvited surprise for a lot of people. So I've been on this journey for 25 years myself about, all right, so how do we wake this up? How do we heal this? How do we, in fact, have a happy and healthy, intimate and sexual life when things don't work quite the same way as before? So that's what Sexy After Cancer is all about. It's about tools and resources for a happy and healthy, intimate and sexual life after cancer diagnosis. So I've written a book, I give classes, I give retreats, I speak at cancer conferences, I give webinars, I talk to whoever will listen because I have a lot to say about it and it seems to help people. So.
Okay. Yeah, you know, as doctors, we really don't do anything with the sexual aspects of patients. In fact, we're probably a little bit embarrassed to talk about it, to bring it up, or we just don't know enough about it. So.
Right. Well, so here's what the medical professionals tell me. They say that these days with managed care, I don't have much time, so I don't have time to talk about that, but I will answer questions if my patients ask questions. Well, if the patient doesn't know, they don't know to ask. But for me, that's what goes for, I don't really know how to talk about it, and I'm uncomfortable, and I don't have any training in this, so it kind of becomes the elephant in the room. Yeah. And according to a Livestrong poll by the Lance Armstrong Foundation a couple of years ago, poor sexual functioning is one of the top 3 survivor issues, right up there along with fatigue and chemo brain. So I say it's time to do something about that.
Now, are you dealing primarily with women, or both men and women, or?
I started with women with breast cancer because that's what I know best, because I had breast cancer. But I don't limit it to that, and I've worked with many couples and many men, and oftentimes in a couple, there's both of them have cancer, and with men, it's often prostate cancer. So, you know, there's lots of issues there too, and things to do about that as well.
Yeah. Now you have a fellow working with you, Ron Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
The two of y'all work together, or how does that relationship work, or what's happening there?
Well, we do. We're business partners and life partners, and Ron has also had cancer, and so he's pretty aware of all of the issues as well.
Okay. So how do you work with folks? Is it one-on-one coaching or retreats or what?
Both. We do work with people one-on-one. That's primarily me, and Ron co-leads the retreats with me that we do for couples. I lead the ones for women by myself, and so we will work with people in any way that works for them. We will work with people over the telephone or by Skype. When the technology works, we have lots of options available to us.
Okay.
And or people will come here to see us, and then also I have some online courses I've developed, and I've written a book. And so there's lots of different ways, because some people are embarrassed to talk about this, and they want to maintain their anonymity. So if that's true, then they can do one of our online courses, or they can read a book, or they can come on to a webinar or a teleseminar and maintain their anonymity. That seems to help a lot of people, and especially people who aren't local to where I am. I'm in California, so for like folks in Montana or something where it's, you know, it's not feasible to actually come and be with me or be with us, then we can work over the phone or by Skype.
Now, are most of these people, have they finished their chemotherapy part, radiation? Do you want those people early, or you want them after they finish all that stuff?
That's a great question. Typically, when somebody's in active treatment, what they're doing is just getting through treatment.
Yeah.
And their sex life may be the last thing on their minds. They're more worried about nausea and hair loss and fatigue and those sorts of things. Although there are some people who are really concerned with maintaining physical intimacy, not necessarily genital play and penetrative sex, but touch and love and intimacy. And so there's lots of things we can do for that. But typically it's once somebody has finished treatment and has maybe been out of treatment for 6 months to a year, and they're starting to realize, okay, my life is going to go on. How do I integrate into my life right now? I'm starting to feel human again. Now what? Yeah. And that's a time when it's more appropriate to bring intimacy and sexuality back into the mix.
Okay. Oops, I just went blank on my thought process. Trying to think right now. Now, with, say, the retreat, is it feasible that people can, well, I guess I probably know the answer, a week's retreat or whatnot, you're not going to be back to complete where you were beforehand or perfectly intimate, which I'm not sure I am with my wife. How much hard work is it?
Hard work? Well, let's put it this way. It's an opportunity to explore lots of different possibilities, because if you stop and think about how you learned about sex when you were growing up, you probably didn't get a good education, right?
Right.
Most of us did not. And so it's a little bit like the blind leading the blind. And, you know, we just kind of know what to do, and we think it's all about intercourse and penetrative sex and having an orgasm or helping our partner to have an orgasm. Well, when the biomechanical functions don't work quite the same way, then that opens the door for learning about other kinds of intimacy and other kinds of sex play that don't necessarily involve penetration, don't necessarily require a man to get in their direction or for a woman to lubricate. So there's this whole new universe that opens up. So one of the things that I love to talk with people about is changing your definition of sex. So if you take the word sex, S-E-X, and you treat that like an acronym, maybe you can think of sex as sacred energy exchange, or sensual energy exchange, or spiritual energy exchange, and it just opens up the horizon of what's possible. And so once we can get that conversation going, and there's so much that can be done. Now that said, if people really want to get back into having some kind of genital penetrative sex, there are things that can be done. There's a very wonderful program that I have come across in my studies called the Vaginal Renewal Program that works really well for women over time, and it helps them to increase the elasticity in their tissue and to increase the flow of lymph and blood through those tissues, which, you know, let's face it, libido is all about blood flow, right?
Right.
So that helps to increase the blood flow, and over time, using that program will somewhat mimic the function of estrogen, although it's not quite the same. And for men, there is a penile rehabilitation program that can happen, because with men, oftentimes there's a lot of peripheral nerve damage from their surgeries, and peripheral nerve damage can take a couple years to heal. Yeah. But the key with men is they need to start a program like that as soon as they possibly can after surgery, because with men, most men during the course of a day have between 4 and 6 erections. It's just blood flowing in and out of the penis. Well, when there's peripheral nerve damage, that doesn't happen. So you need to do that manually or mechanically.
Okay.
So either with massage or with vacuum devices, and so on. And so the protocol with that is to manually get the blood flowing through your penis several times a day, and also to use low doses of either Cialis or Viagra or something like that to help with that. So for many men, if they will start that, like as soon as their vision feel after surgery,
Yeah.
then they can have some rehabilitation. If they wait too long, the tissue atrophies and you can't recover from it. So it's different for women, because for women it doesn't matter how long it's been.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's one of the ways our body functions differently, but for men, time is really critical in that.
Now you mentioned low doses of the Cialis and Viagra. As a guy and a doctor, I always think higher the better. Why did you say low dose?
Well, because what the intention is not necessarily to get a really firm erection so that you can have penetrative sex, but it's really about the blood flow.
Okay.
So it's about the function that it has on the vascular system.
Okay. So then as a doctor, I need to start pushing that with my gentleman patients.
Yeah, so I can give you links for that program because it's the best thing I have found so far. And a lot of urologists that I have spoken with don't know about it. You know, they say, well, we can give injections, we can use a pump, you know, you can have an implant, that sort of thing. And this, I think, is worth trying in the interim.
Yeah, I've never heard that in any of the oncology meetings or with my colleagues that we need to start working with that. So, yeah.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So how do people find you?
Well, they're finding me here on Google Hangout, I hope.
Okay.
My website is www.sexyaftercancer.com. I have a Facebook page called Sexy After Cancer. I have a Twitter handle called Sexy After Cancer. So I'm also up on social media and on LinkedIn as Barbara Musser. So there's lots of ways to find me. People can send me an email, which is barbara@sexyaftercancer.com. I make myself as available as I can because I am so passionate about this. I'll tell you, I talk to so many people, Roy, who say, well, gosh, my sex life wasn't all that great before cancer, and now it hardly seems worth it. Yeah. To me, that's heartbreaking, and it does not have to be that way. I'll tell you now, so this is my 25-year cancer anniversary this year.
Hot dog.
And I'm having a better intimate and sexual time now than I've ever had.
Okay.
Post-menopause, post-treatment, all of that.
Yeah.
So, I could be the poster girl for this. So my main message is, if you're breathing and alive, your libido may be asleep, but there are things that we can do to wake up that sleeping beauty or that sleeping prince.
Okay.
And it's not the same as it was before. So the trap that people fall into is thinking, well, I'm just going to go back to how it was for me before. Well, no, that's not going to happen. But there are other doorways that open that you can have pleasure, fantastic pleasure.
Now, the person or the couple that the sex life was not that good, or I guess it's more than just sex life, but intimacy life. Mm-hmm. If that was poor beforehand, do they have more of a difficult time than those who had something that was very tremendous before the diagnosis and treatment?
I think that's a very individual thing. I think that there's certainly, and you've probably seen this, there certainly are people that the trauma of a cancer diagnosis blows their relationship apart. And there are other people that are really strengthened by it, and then other people who aren't so affected by it. So I think it's a really individual kind of thing. But what I find is that in my experience and lots of people that I've worked with, cancer can be a doorway in for transformation. Right. It's a window of opportunity if you take it that way. Because all of a sudden we say, life is precious. I don't know how much time I have. How can I live the best possible life I can for as long as I live? Which I think is a great question for anybody to ask, whether they have cancer or not. So cancer just highlights that. And for people who want to do that and say, okay, I have lived so much before, now I want to live.
Yeah.
Then that's where there's opportunities and lots of things that can happen.
Now I have to think too, as we grow up or grow old, we never grow older, but we grow up and we get smarter. the sexual part or the penetration genitalia stuff tends to be less and less important. Do you have many patients who are not, you probably don't call them patients, many clients who don't have the cancer diagnosis that want the intimacy work?
That don't have cancer that do want to have intimacy work? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah. Or you strictly?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. Biologically and with intention, people can remain sexually active up until the day they die.
Okay.
Or, unless they're paralyzed or something.
Yeah.
But, it's a matter of intention, a matter of creativity, a matter of openness and inspiration. And does it look different? Yes. I mean, all of us, when the years pile on, it takes us longer biologically to get ourselves aroused and excited, and that's because of the changes in hormonal production that happen as a result of chronology, as a result of medicine, or as a result of surgical treatments. So, we're all going to get there at some point. So the question then becomes, all right, so how do I expand my horizons? How do I adjust and adapt? And how do I live my life now as I want to? And I have some clients where she is 84 and her husband is 90.
Okay.
And they have a wonderful intimate life, and it does not involve genital penetration.
Okay.
But they consider their intimate life and their sexual life to be wonderful and very satisfying.
That's exciting. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, are there many people like you out there doing this, or are you one of the pioneers, you and Ron?
Well, pioneers. I mean, there are a few books that are out there about cancer and sexuality, and what I find that's a little different about the work that I do and that we do is that we are very much focused on doing the inner emotional work, the foundational work of self-acceptance and forgiveness and love and learning communication skills before we even start talking about the physical stuff. And then once we do start talking about the physical stuff, we don't just talk about it. We show people what to do. We give them things to try. So, for example, at our retreats that we do for couples, I mean, we have them here in San Francisco mostly, but on Saturday night, we offer an optional field trip to Good Vibrations, which is a store that sells sex toys.
Yeah.
And it's really fun because a lot of times the people that we're with have never been in a store like that, and they don't know what to do, what to look at. They walk in and their eyes widen up, and so we show them. These are what this kind of device is designed for. This is what this kind of lubricant is designed to do. And then usually people buy some things and they go back into their hotel room and they experiment. And we had one couple that they were in their late 60s, and they had never used any sex toys before, and she had stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And they bought 3 vibrators. Yeah. And they came in on Sunday morning looking like the cat that ate the canary. And they gave us the full rundown. They tried them all, and 2 of them they didn't like so much. 1 they really liked. Yeah. And at the end of the weekend with the evaluation, she said, it's really ironic that here I am probably on the downhill phase of my life, going towards death, and now I'm finally having good sex. And her husband said, honey, let's not waste a minute. and on the question of how to improve the retreat, what he wrote was, more homework, please.
Okay. How long are the retreats?
They're weekend.
Okay.
They start on Friday evening and they end late Sunday afternoon.
Okay. All in San Francisco there?
Well, so far they have been. I mean, we certainly will travel. It's just a question of, gathering the people and having a place. And so if there is some, like if you wanted to have one where you are, for example, and you gathered a group of people and got a room, we'd come. Absolutely.
How many would make it worthwhile? What kind of numbers do you look for?
Retreat, we need 5 or 6 couples. If there's fewer than that, it's not quite enough critical mass.
Yeah.
So 12 people minimum works really great, and up to 20. So like up to 10 couples.
Okay. Do you find any reluctance from one of the partners? Is a guy kind of reluctant to come to these, or?
Well, it's almost always the woman who initiates the registration.
Oh, okay.
And the men come along, though, because they love their partners.
Yeah.
And once we're into it and they see how it goes, they love it.
Yeah.
Because it not only gives them hope, but they're learning from every other couple that's there who's on the same journey, and they're learning really practical things to do and much better communication skills.
Okay.
So, yeah, we get really great recommendations and testimonials from our clients who come.
Bad question. Does insurance cover any of it, or?
No.
They don't cover much of anything anymore. That's important.
No, they don't.
Okay.
For sure don't.
Okay. Now, you got some other blogs, right, that you work with?
I do. I blog for several organizations. I blog for one called the Pink Fund. And what the Pink Fund does is they provide short-term financial help for people who are in active treatment for breast cancer. So men and women. So they might pay your rent for a month or your utility bill, something like that. I write a blog for them, weekly blog called Sexy Saturdays. And I also blog for an organization called The Plum, which is a new online magazine, and that is a project of the Women Survivors Alliance, which addresses women with all types of cancer. I also blog for Breast Cancer Answers, which up until very recently was a medical-only advice organization. And I also blog for Breast Cancer Wellness Magazine.
Wow.
Which is a quarterly publication that goes out to women with breast cancer. And I'm on the cover of the spring issue. So,
nice.
And then there's a new retreat that I'm just designing right now in conjunction with Breast Cancer Wellness Magazine. It's going to be a 3-day retreat for women, and we're offering the first one in November in Kansas City.
Okay.
And we're really excited about it because it's going to be all about how you change the story that you tell about yourself as a woman with cancer.
Okay. Nice.
And how you get in touch with what your vision is and how you create the life that you really want. Okay. So we're really excited about that.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Any research going on with any of this? Do you know, the cancer centers, psych places?
MD Anderson has some research going on about an online program that they are developing for cancer and sexuality. And I don't actually know the status of that program. I have some colleagues that I'm working with. I presented some informal research last year at a conference based on this vaginal renewal program and some other personal growth self-healing techniques that I learned. And I worked with a group of 12 women over 3 months. And they all got really great results.
Yeah.
So I presented that at this conference because I said, what's next? We need to actually do a formal research study. So I'm working with a couple people right now on designing that, and we're going to do a pilot study, hopefully later on this year, with 25 to 30 women.
Okay.
And then once we complete that and publish the results, then we'll go for some grant money and see if we can do a larger multi-center study.
Now, do you have any literature that we could place in offices, clinics?
I don't. I have my book, which people can certainly place in their clinics.
Yeah.
And most of the resources I have are electronic.
Okay.
But it certainly would be easy to put something together. We're going to be creating something for this seminar I just mentioned that's happening in November. So I will have paper flyers for that. But really, I mean, the best thing that somebody can do is either get my book or go to my website. There's lots of resources on there, and there's a calendar of events, like including this conversation that you and I are having tonight.
Okay.
And next week, I'm giving a webinar for Living Beyond Breast Cancer, and in July, I'll be presenting 2 workshops on cancer and sexuality at the National Women Survivors Convention. And I teach at some of the local hospitals here around the Bay Area. And I also have done some in-service trainings for oncology staff in hospitals about cancer and sexuality.
No wonder I couldn't find you for a long time. You're never home. Never home. Do you ever slow down?
Yeah, well, I just, like I said, I'm really passionate about helping people, and as not only someone who's been on the cancer journey myself for 25 years, but as a sex educator, it's time for this to come out, and I love talking about sex. So there's no shame or embarrassment here, and that helps to open doors for people that they may not know how to open otherwise.
Okay. Well, excuse me, it's 8:30. It went fast.
It did.
Yeah. What I'll do later tonight, I'll kind of modify this thing, and I'll put your web address up on the video screen so people can find that and
wonderful.
Get a hold of you some more and easy ways to find you and things like that.
Yeah.
Any last things you want to say?
And the other thing that might be good to tell people is I have this online course that I just developed called You Are So Beautiful, and it's primarily for women, but it's great. It's a series of videos and a workbook, so that people can download that stuff and do the work at home. And then once a month, I have a live call where anybody who has taken the course for as long as they want can call in and ask me questions or get coaching or anything like that.
And that's called You Are So Beautiful?
Yep.
Okay. I'll put that in there for you. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Please, wonderful. Well, I'm excited to meet you. I was telling my wife all about you this weekend.
I'm going to send you the links for those resources about
Please.
The vaginal and the penile renewal
program.
Yeah.
I can use that. More ways than one. Okay. Well, Barb, I'm going to sign off now, but thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Wonderful lady.
Great to have you on your show finally after.
And I really enjoy your work, and I thank you for it, because I know nobody else is doing that, and certainly the doctors aren't involved with that.
Right. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you, and thanks for your great work.
Okay. Be good. Have a good night.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.